Very good afternoon and welcome to Lancashire Innovation Festival. This is the final session of week one. Thank you for joining us. I'll hand over shortly. Throughout October, we have a wide range of events coming up, talks, seminars, workshops, panel discussions and networking sessions, all on the subject of innovation in Lancashire for you to find out and discover more about. You can find a full list of all our seminars, sessions and events at lancashireinnovationfestival.co.uk. Please feel free today to join in with the conversation using the chat box as we do with every session. Please tell us about who you are, where you're from, and your interests in today's subject. If you have any questions for the panel, please feel free to channel them through the Q&A box and we will look to answer them as we go or perhaps towards the end of the session. You can also continue to follow the conversation with the whole festival on Twitter with the hashtag LANIF2020. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over now to John Powell, the Head of Innovation and Enterprise Services at Lancaster University, who will be chairing today's panel. So John, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan, and good afternoon to everybody. As Dan said, my name is John Powell. I'm Head of Enterprise Innovation Services at Lancaster University. I'm also a small business owner and Vice President of Lancaster District Chamber of Commerce. So I'm delighted to be joined by a panel today made up of business leaders and university collaboration experts, and we're going to discuss collaborative partnerships between business and universities and higher education. So first of all, I'd like my panelists to introduce themselves. So Chris, would you like to go first?
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Chris Mayne and I'm the Managing Director of a company called Forsberg Services Limited. So we're based at HEIs Port, moved there last year from Lancaster. And really we provide solutions around position, navigation and timing. We provide products off the shelf, and we provide a whole host of engineering services that come around that, those products. And we serve a wide range of markets, ranging from automotive to logistics, container ports, telecommunications, survey, defence. There's a whole host of application areas that we work in. Anything that needs a position. And when I say position, not the normal type of position you get from your phone. We work on the higher precision type range. So anything ranging from about 1.5 meters down to 1 centimeter in accuracy.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Nilla?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Nilla Karlsen-Davies, a Partnerships and Engagement Manager at Lancaster University. And a key part of my role is to develop links and partnerships with external organisations such as Forsberg. And I predominantly do this across our departments of engineering, physics and chemistry, but also our cross-cutting institutes like Energy Lancaster and the Material Science Institute. And in terms of approaching partners, I mean, this can be both proactive and reactive. Sometimes we are steered by funding opportunities or company requests, or other times we focus on partners that will help us bring about longer term research and development opportunities that align with the core missions of our university. And often that initial interaction starts with a conversation around challenges, often scientific or technical. And the support that my team offers is collaborative, and we co-develop ideas and then find mechanisms for how we can deliver those together.
Okay, thank you, Nilla. Alex?
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Bids and Tenders Manager for Recycling Lives, and we're a registered social enterprise that specialises in providing unique social value opportunities and tailored waste management solutions nationwide.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Karl?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karl Williams. I'm the Director for the Centre for Waste management at the university. The centre's been around for 18 years, giving support in terms of research and innovation to businesses. I haven't been a member for 18 years, I'm not that old, but we work across a range of commercial and industrial settings. So we work with construction sector, manufacturing, service industry, hospitality. And so we've got a lot of experience of working with a full range of companies in terms of helping them with their innovation and research needs. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is working on a partnership approach. And all members of the centre have had experience of either working for companies, large companies or SMEs. So we understand what it's like, the challenges for an SME to work with higher education, and also the challenges for higher education to work with SMEs as well. And we work through a number of routes. We have referrals, we have direct contact. We also have had a number of projects, and currently we have 2 European Regional Development funded projects in the Northwest, Making Carbon Work Lancashire and EcoEye Northwest, which is a partnership across the Northwest. So we're working closely with SMEs through that. Thank you.
Karl, and many universities have partnered on some of those projects, which
yes, they are, yeah.
Universities do work very closely together to support local businesses. Coral?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Coral Rose. I'm the Managing Director of the Country Range Group. We're a food service buying group, 12 wholesalers who are delivering food to the out-of-home market, wherever you eat it out of home, whether that's the rapidly closing pubs and restaurants or schools, prisons, care homes, anywhere you have food.
Thank you, Coral. And Marcello?
Hello, everyone. I am a professor in data science in the Department of Computer Science at Yale University. Originally, I was trained as a mathematician, although I gradually moved towards computer science, big data, and data science in particular. I've been working in academia for a number of years. Before then, I worked in various research and development departments, including IBM research. So I've a bit of a mixed background. So I'm always keen to bridge business-related problems with academia. In fact, these type of problems are usually very interesting. They can open up promising research directions or opportunities. And I've led or co-led several research and consultancy-based projects and collaborated with several SMEs, as well as large national and international businesses.
Thank you very much. So just to remind people who are listening, if you do have any questions, do pop them in the Q&A, but I'm just going to start the ball rolling by asking a few questions about our business leaders. So maybe it's directing this first one at Chris and then ask everyone else to kind of contribute. What are the kind of key innovation challenges you're facing? Or when I say currently, maybe just pre-COVID and if there are any kind of challenges as a result of the kind of current pandemic we're in, but around kind of innovation, Chris, what are those kind of key challenges that your business is facing?
Yeah, so really across our business, we've faced challenges on a number of fronts, really. Being a highly innovative company in terms of our products, we have to stay ahead of the market, looking for new technology that allows us to adapt to our wide range of markets that we're operating in as well. We need to stay at the forefront really of technology within position navigation and timing. So there's that side of the challenge. We're very customer-led, market-led in how we approach. We develop modular so that we can ensure that we adapt to different circumstances. And then internally, we've gone through quite an intense period of growth recently. So there's the internal innovation as well, looking at our operations and everything that goes around that side of things, and in particular around digitalization. That was a big strategy for us towards the end of last year, and the COVID situation really ramped up the speed that we had to put that into place. So we're always looking at how to make ourselves more efficient, how we can introduce more remote working systems, support those remote working systems, and generate more data as well, so we can make better decisions internally as well. So they're the sort of the two sort of key areas. And then on the management side, the strategic, looking at innovation covers that area as well. I strongly believe as well. So looking at the strategic position of the business and how we're approaching our business and roadmaps and forming the business for the future.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So when you said digitisation, that's digitisation mainly the operations of a business?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm looking at it from the product sense, but also the internally in the operations. So to give you an example, we've introducing a complete ERP package, so enterprise resource planning package that runs across the entire business, so that we can take these pockets of systems that we've had in place and centralize them, so that we're interfacing systems together, we're bringing them into one central location, and ultimately reduces the amount of waste in our processes, and it makes things everything more efficient. And that ranges to digital stores. Digital stores is a good example, actually, because that's one of the areas we work very closely with Lancaster University on. How do we turn our storeroom, which was very manual, paper-driven, spreadsheet type approach, into a barcode digital type system that we have in place that can now track everything from the point it comes into the building to the point it goes out. And that came through a lot of research introduced from the university and how we could adapt our systems to fit.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris. So, Karl, do you want to talk about some of the innovation challenges that you faced in your business and your sector? Again, I'm sure COVID plays a big part in this, and maybe you've had to innovate accordingly.
Yeah, I think, well, a couple of things really. I guess pre-COVID, our business was very much one that didn't use an awful lot of data. Wholesaling is kind of quite behind the curve really when it comes to use of data, and that's where we were looking for innovation. And it was through Edge Hill that we discovered a way that we could do that and use it in a way that we didn't think would be kind of possible and hadn't planned, which was fantastic. And mostly innovation in our sector tends to be about food and looking at trends and knowing what food products there are, rather than focusing on innovation in terms of running the business like Chris just referred to, looking at it from a strategic perspective and understanding how looking at different business practices or indeed the use of data can help you in that sense. And I guess at the moment that's what we've been looking at more. There's been a lot of innovation, a lot of people, digitalization in the terms of people going online, offering online services they didn't have before, having to innovate to understand how you get the allergen information from products to consumers, looking at direct to consumer models that where people were doing a business to business model before. So there's been lots of innovation and pivoting at the moment, specifically in relation to the COVID crisis. Which has taken us a bit off path, but we are still looking at the key data innovation project as well, to kind of help guide us through this and out of it as well.
So in terms of the link, has waste management been a bit of a problem in your sector, Karl?
Waste management, I guess it is in terms of from the hospitality side, yes, because there is legislation and there's packaging waste guidelines and there's all kinds of criteria that you need to follow. And certainly going forward, there's a deposit return scheme that is going to be implemented in Scotland and then in England. So again, it's the kind of more the waste management and the recycling side of things, and food waste as well, and management of food waste.
That's what I was wondering in terms of the COVID pandemic and hospitality sector. Is there a lot more kind of food waste that we're seeing as a result of the hospitality, or decline in demand in the hospitality sector?
Yeah, there has, absolutely. And again, our warehouses are currently full of product that was placed on order for places that have just closed. And we're now we've got nowhere to sell that food to. So we obviously use food banks and everything else, but yeah, it'd be a good way to have different ways of understanding how to utilise that.
Okay, thank you, Karl. So Alex, again, from a waste management perspective?
Yeah, so one of the key drivers for us is looking at ways to integrate outcomes that public sector and the largest blue chip clients who are tier 1 suppliers might require in order to demonstrate additional value. So how to show innovation in terms of reduction to harm to the environment, but then also critically how to drive positively change throughout society. So how to use resources more efficiently, how to look at driving down carbon emissions. I mean, for example, we return to market hundreds of thousands of tons of ferrous scrap metal every year. For every ton of that, that's 0.96 tons of CO2e that we're mitigating versus mined iron ore being used instead of recycled scrap. So it's a combination of looking to innovate wherever possible in terms of our partnership with university. Good example would be how we're looking to drive down the cost of our own significant plant and energy output, how to use our own waste more productively in those terms, and producing a genuinely closed loop approach to our own processing outputs and activities, but then also as a consultancy referral business, if you will, for the larger clients and the public sector, for how we can not forget and neglect the human capital as our vital resource, and that's become even more crucial and integral to what business, charity, social enterprise, third sector, and the public sector, in terms of a commissioning body, needs to consider for how to best address solutions. So innovation doesn't only mean a smarter piece of kit. It also means a smarter, more integrated way of working. As Karl was saying, data is the shortest route to that. So, I mean, I won't say any more because I'll embarrass myself in front of Marcello, no doubt. But I would say that critically, the shortest route to efficiency and less damage to the environment is a better knowledge of our data, and all of us integrating the outputs of our harm and our benefits more coherently and cohesively.
Okay, thanks, Alex. So to bring our university colleagues into the discussion, we've heard there from some of the business leaders about some of their kind of innovation challenges, but from a university perspective, how do we go about best approaching businesses and supporting them to identify what those innovation challenges are that we can add value to? So I'll start with Marcello, because you just mentioned there. So how do you kind of contact business and triage what their real kind of innovation challenges are?
By our business development teams. And so, for example, there are a variety of activities and events, mainly knowledge exchange activities. So, for example, there are some knowledge exchange activities to introduce our students to local and national potential employers, as well as the relevant staff. So that's usually a good platform to meet businesses. But also, we are encouraged to attend national, international events. So, for example, focused conferences, seminars, and networking events. And also, we have a member of staff who have good connections with several businesses. So what you usually do, we discuss the main challenges, needs, and requirements that specific businesses might have. And then, based on our expertise as researchers, we identify the most relevant, innovative approaches and solutions. But it's not just about blue sky research. It's, innovation comes in different shapes and forms. So it might be the development of new technology, or just using existing approaches in a more innovative and better way.
Okay, thank you. Karl, any kind of comments on, from your perspective, other approaches for engaging with businesses and then kind of triaging their kind of innovation challenges? Well,
just to reiterate everything Marcello says, but also one of the ways that we engage with businesses is through supply chains. So we work with more blue chip companies and work with them to develop their supply chains, and we work with SMEs that want to be part of supply chains as well. And I find that a lot of innovation comes from businesses looking at how they do things, how they process their products, what sort of products they offer, and how they can meet the current demand and the future demand as well. And the challenge for lots of businesses is they're all unique and they're all at different stages of maturity in terms of the type of innovation they can do. And it's that conversation and that partnership building that we try and develop within the university. And the fact that we try to explain to companies that they may look at one type of innovation, but that's probably going to lead on to other types of innovation or other types of data collection. And so it's really opening up the door to the possibilities that the companies can have.
Okay, thanks, Karl. So Nilla, slightly different question, because Karl touched on it. Universities generally have a lot of knowledge exchange projects and programs that we run that are funded through various kind of funds. But how do we ensure that we really try to address the needs of a business, not just try and sign them up for one of the projects that we've got running at one point in time? So what are the kind of tools and techniques that we utilize to try and make sure we're really solving the needs of businesses?
So yeah, I think I mean, communication is a key element of that, and you know, particularly in my role, because I'm not wedded to any kind of particular project, but I work you know, across a lot of different areas, and I think, you know, you're going to have that initial conversation, and it's very much about understanding priorities for the businesses that you meet, but also, you know, for academic colleagues, because a lot of it is understanding internal capabilities and how we can best add value, and you know, very much not selling a particular solution. So I often will ask a business, you know, where they see themselves going, what they want to achieve, and you know, in a family business or a startup or a large corporation will all have very different visions and values for the future. So you need to be able to understand that, and from the beginning, I think. And then we'll often touch on barriers to innovation. So what's stopping you to innovate? And I'm going to mention Chris here, but I think the work that Lancaster's done with Forsberg is a very good example, because we've worked with Chris through many different areas of the university, you know, through our management school, but also through our science and technology departments. So it's looking at what Chris was mentioning about that innovation internally within your company and creating that culture and leading from the top to create a space for innovation, but also, you know, how can we as a university help, you know, unlocking that potential and delivering expertise and support in teasing that out and creating, you know, new products or processes. So yeah, I think that, you know, again, there's no value of in exploring a specific type of delivery mechanism if that's not a good fit, either, you know, financially or what at the stage the business is at. So again, you know, it just comes back to communication and being open and transparent, I think.
Okay, thank you. So to bring some of the business leaders back in, Chris, I'll just start with you, because Nilla just mentioned you there. But how and why are universities best placed to support you with these kind of innovation and business challenges, as opposed to other private sector or other public sector bodies? So why engage with the university?
Well, a good example is Lancaster University. It's it being from business being in Lancaster, and Lancaster University being my old university, I always had an aspiration to engage with the university and make those connections. It's the wide range of areas they cover and the specific research that they're focused on that is of particular interest. And you don't get, with the universities, there's no, you can have a more open conversation because you aren't looking, you're not concerned about competition or disclosing information that you may want to keep private. You can have more of an open conversation in the direction we want to go, how that fits. And Nilla has mentioned, that's how I've approached those conversations, and Nilla has really steered me into a number of different opportunities and departments and different colleagues of hers to talk to. But really around university, it's the ability to talk to them very openly. I have a similar relationship with University of Central Lancashire in their engineering department. And again, they do a lot of work around UAVs, drones, and graphene, which was a particular interest to us. And again, we were able to go in and use their expertise, have open conversations about where we want to go, and you really lean on their subject matter experts on how that fit into our overall picture of the world and the business.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Karl, anything to add there in terms of, you know, why engage with a university and the value that universities have?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd never even thought about pairing with the university for advice and support to help with business. Kind of once I left uni, that was it. It was done. But we received a flyer from Edge Hill about their innovation sprint program, which is a fantastic program that worked with us, took us through every single step of the process to help us find out what the innovation need was and a way that we could practically apply it in our business. And get a solution, and then understand actually how they can help and support, and open the door really to understand that there are these, enterprise innovation business departments in universities, and students, of course, would like to have real life projects they can work on rather than textbook stuff. But I wasn't aware of that. So as a result of that, I encourage all our members now to contact universities that are local to them and say, look, get in touch, find these departments, because there's ways that they can help you with their business, genuinely want to kind of understand and work with you. So I'd recommend it. And if you don't get approached by the university, you go and approach them, because there's a whole wealth of skills and all the different departments. We're working with the computer science department at the moment, but there could be other departments that we can work with going forward, and we will do.
So it took an old-fashioned flyer, but once you started engaging, then it's led to other support.
Exactly right. It was the innovation sprint program, and understanding that and how that worked in the university, and the confidence that actually, gosh, yes, they do it. Completely understand the commercial world. It's not just a load of academia, because academia and commerce, sometimes you think, it's like oil and water, do they kind of generally mix sometimes, but it works really, really well in terms of understanding and getting each other's strengths for the benefit of the business and the university too.
Okay, thank you, Karl. So Alex, to also kind of pose that question to you in terms of why universities are well placed, but also secondary kind of point to this. Does the university brand matter? Does it matter which university you're working with?
Good question. So aside from the august institutions which are hereby represented, I don't think so, no. I think it's to pick up. Thank you, Chris and Karl, for answering the question so thoroughly already. But to pick up on those points already addressed, your alumnus, your alma mater, the nearest university to you, the university most likely to be able to support if you have a local technical college, and what you're looking for is a local technical college type solution, then that's the way you should reach out. And I would say, particularly from our experience, we've had excellent results working with both UCLan and Lancaster University in terms of how that innovation can be driven. Because I think academic institutions, as Chris and Karl have both said, are in a really privileged position here to be both gatekeeper and facilitator and connector. So in a similar way to the old school approach of speaking to your local chamber of commerce, who might then be able to facilitate networking opportunities and coffee mornings, etc., and all the rest of that. I think there's a far deeper, more fulfilling process that can happen through the engagement through universities, and that again is the collation of data that all of us, as Chris has pointed out, might be more free to share with a university, on the understanding that very few of us here are likely to be competing with a university for our own work or even our own clients' work. So I think there's that opportunity to be a sensible gatekeeper and facilitator in terms of connecting. Well, a theoretical example that may or may not exist, but Chris is going to be able to provide routes to market, international commodity trading, which is going to be even more important. A company like myself has access to those markets internationally through millions of pounds and a decade of trading history. So there's definite network connection opportunities there. The social enterprise for which I work provides food redistribution across Lancashire and Cumbria. So Karl, all that food waste that you're about to have to put, some of which you're about to have to put to landfill, could well come through to us and our partnership. So that just from this quick chat alone, there's likely to be the opportunity to generate savings in CO2 and millions of pounds in revenue addition. So all of that has come as a part of this conversation, but really what I'm saying, it's the hub and nexus point that the university and the academic institution can be that enables businesses to engage slightly more freely than any of us would. Because, for us to start that conversation commercially, Again, you know, someone like me would, a nerd like me would get involved and have to produce an NDA. Then there'd be a data sharing agreement, and because there's the nervousness about commercial overlap and how our clients might view what happens. Put simply, there's a clean opportunity for us to provide more efficient use of resource and energy and use the academic institution for what it's best at. And that's a point of reference.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. I think that's a really good point, actually, in terms of universities being kind of anchor institutions in their local economy and being quite a safe space where we can bring cohorts of businesses together. So I think that is a really kind of valid point. Karl and Chris, just to kind of open it up to you there, the kind of second part of my question around, does the brand of a university actually matter to you? Or is it just the fact that it's a local university?
Well, from my perspective, it was them that approached us, and going, and as long as I think you have the confidence that the people there can relate to you. Nilla made the point about kind of communications and relationships and that kind of an honest, open relationship. If you can start with a dialogue and you get that feedback, then I can't see why the brand of university would matter. I think it's about having people that you want to deal with that you trust them, that they're going to give you the good support and advice that you want, and you feel that you want to share that information with.
Okay. Yeah, I fully agree. It's finding the right people and finding the contacts and then building up that. For me, a lot of it builds around how your relationship with the people within the university, and I think as Karl mentioned as well, I don't particularly think the brand of the university matters more, that when you engage with those departments and when there's people, that you spring up a common sort of understanding, good relationship with them, and then you start to see common benefits off the back of that.
Okay, thank you. So
the brand answer, I guess, so just to finish on, the only thing I can say that is maybe relevant to the branding argument is that all of us have said it without saying it and have said it, that our perception of universities being trusted and trustable. So I suppose there's an element to the brand of universities in general and the idea of academic institution, and that the quest for pursuit of knowledge that all of us sort of accept as intrinsic to a university. So that, I suppose, is one element of brand that we see it as a easily accepted and acceptable trust point.
Yeah, maybe as I'm jumping forward to the concluding comments almost, but I'm just going to share my screen and you can see their trust. That's one thing I noticed from a few of the kind of comments there. And so we got a question that's come in from the audience, which I'm going to open up to my university colleagues. So if you were a new business or a business that had never engaged with a university before, other than receiving a flyer, where's the best starting point? So I'll start with Nilla.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it goes back to that, you need to have a conversation, and it does sometimes depend on a company's previous experience of engaging with the university. So, someone who has worked with the university before, or someone who's a collaborator for a longer period of time, like Forsberg, for example, has an idea of what the opportunities already are and how you can engage with the university. Someone coming in completely new, I think, is a bit more about laying out different ways of working with the university, whether through our students or engaging directly with our academics, or whether there is a certain funded program that some of our colleagues run. And I think Karl's already mentioned some of the programs at UCLan. And it might be that you think, well, that's a good fit with that program, and I think that's a nice and easy interaction for the company to kind of get a feel for what it is like to work with the university, and kind of build up that trust. And at the end of the day, it goes back to kind of trying to understand, how best can we help that company, and how can we use our academic expertise and our facilities to support that and that interaction.
But would you just recommend the business picks up the phone, or how are we best kind of making a first contact? If they've just heard about a university, if they don't know how to engage, how do they knock on the door?
Well, knocking on the door is probably not possible right now, but you know, there are certain you know, on our web pages, of course, there are contact points, either more kind of at a higher institutional level, or you find, you know, people like myself on some of our business engagement pages. So yeah, it's hard to say, but sometimes it is just kind of, you know, try at one door, and hopefully you will get through to the right person in the end. You know, sometimes if someone comes to me and I know that this isn't within, you know, the kind of areas I focus on, I will bring other partnerships colleagues into the conversation, and making sure that we end up in the right area.
Okay, thank you. So Karl or Marcello, have you got anything to add there, Karl?
We're in a unique position that last week we just started dealing with a company who didn't know how to engage with a university. They've been producing products for several years. They felt that they'd reached a level of knowledge within their business, and they didn't know how to take it to the next step. And they did that through just contacting the innovation enterprise part of the university, which then went out to the academic areas, and we just all got together, and now we're developing a project. But I think it's that initial step, and it's the hardest part, I think, for companies, is to think, is the university right for me? Is it the right step? And I think that holds a lot of universities back. So talking to the CEO of the company that we're now engaging with, they said, well, we've often thought about talking with the university, but we never felt that it was the right thing to do. And I think that is an initial barrier for lots of SMEs. And I think Karl mentioned that you don't really think about a university as a place that can actually support you. But I think once you go through the door, as Nilla said, because we're such a big organization and there's such a lot of expertise, we can find, you know, the right people to talk to. And the other thing to bear in mind is that universities work a lot in partnership with each other as well. So even if one university doesn't have that particular area of expertise in, then the university will refer you to one of the other universities that they work with within the Northwest. So we work with all the universities in the Northwest, and likewise, they work with everyone else as well.
And is that because we don't feel we're competing, Karl?
I don't think we do feel that we're competing. We have lots of joint projects together. We work in collaboration. We have joint research projects. We're not really competing. We have our area of expertise that we recognize from each of the institutions, and we all occupy different areas. So some universities are more research based, some are more applied research based, and I think we all complement each other. And I think that's the important thing. That as a whole, the Northwest universities work very well together.
Yeah, I'd definitely back that up. I've just we're currently bidding for a project with UCLan, University of Manchester, and I tried to get Lancaster University in as well, but because of the way the funding structure, there was a bit of a barrier there. But that project with ourselves as a business had basically something for everybody within that project, which is I think I'm in that area. I was talking to Nilla about this yesterday, about how do I join up departments within universities as well, because there's some projects that we have that would cover physics, computing, engineering, and how do we work on that basis? But then also, how do I link up between different universities? And I'm just going down one route at the moment that is hopefully going to start breaking into that area.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Marcello, anything to add on that from how businesses should approach us?
You've all made very good points, and what my suggestion is, just if you're not sure, just send an email. We you know, if we can't help, we'll certainly be able to put you in touch with other departments or other institutions. And so just my simple suggestion is just don't be afraid and just ask.
Yeah. So in summary, almost there should be no wrong door approach. You know, it's up to the universities to kind of like hide the wiring. So whoever you speak to should be there to try and introduce you to the right person that can help you with your kind of business problem. Is that kind of fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So we've got another kind of question coming, which is more targeted at our business leaders. So I'm just going to ask this one, and people just jump in or put your hand up, however you want to kind of play it, rather than me kind of direct it. So what's been the biggest tangible business impact that you've had from working with a local university? Chris.
So we did a project through the Ingenie program that Lancaster University run, where we had an intern come in for, it was 12 weeks. And that took so we'd been trying to implement the ERP system I kind of mentioned at the start. And we found someone that a student, we put together the work package that said we're trying to get an ERP system from its current state and trying to get it into live use. And talked to the university. They put us through in touch with the Ingenie program. That was a supported program, so it was funded as well, which always helps, and opened it up to the students to see who would apply. And we had a student come in who had a bit of a background, had worked a year at Amazon, so had a bit of a background on how these resource planners worked, was working within the business and the management school in economics, and came in, and I think in the time he was in, he moved us forward at least about a year in where we were in plans. And because it was pure focused effort, he had the resources that he had contacts as well at the university, and we were able to just put him in place. And by the end of his time within the business, he went back to university, and we suddenly had this leap forward in development. And since then, the momentum's really built on from that. And we've actually engaged a few more times in similar type programs off the back of that.
Okay.
It was a good example of the type of program. But I will mention that the Ingenie program came about from, again, once, it's quite difficult. I think it's difficult for me to answer how you first make contact with the university, because I came through, I was actually doing the Productivity Through People course, and that's when I started to make some more connections. I knew the engineering department, but I started making more connections off the back of that program that I was on. It's a leadership program and training. So I find it difficult to answer that. But once you are in and you start to engage with the teams like Nilla, and Nick is one of Nilla's colleagues, and they start putting you in contact with more of the departments, and they open more doors, and they start translating what can be a little bit daunting when you see all these. We have the Ingenie program, we have this internship program, and you're trying to work out what does this mean to me? How do I make the best of this? And they translate all of that, and they help shape how you're going to get the best benefit and how it fits. And that is the key part. That's how it's worked, and that's the real reason that we've had a big benefit from that program.
Thank you, Chris. So, Karl or Alex?
Yeah, from our perspective, the university introduced us to the Knowledge Transfer Partnership Programme. So on the back of the sprint program, we identified what this project would be, and then through that we have now engaged them in just at the end of year one of the 3-year program. And basically we've got somebody coming in who's going to create a system for us that will take us further than anybody else in our industry that's suited to our business. He's working in our business, but we have all the backup and support of Marcello and his colleagues to give that added benefit. So again, that's something that we just wouldn't have had any clue about. We would have probably had to go out, commercially find something or get something off the shelf or try and work it to suit our business, rather than actually have something that is directly for us. And we've received the support of Innovate UK with the Knowledge Transfer Partnership Programme.
And they're really intensive, usually 3-year, 50% funded programs, aren't they, Calvin? They're quite a commitment from all parties.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and there's a good level of funding and a big commitment. It's a 3-year project. So we'll be working with the university for 3 years. The KTP associate is employed by the university, but situated within the business environment. So he's one of our team and links between the two. So it's really good to make sure you have that ongoing link, and other things that kind of spring off from that as well. But that is the kind of the key tangible benefit that we've got so far.
Brilliant, thank you, Carol. Alex, anything to add in terms of kind of biggest tangible business benefit you've had in your organisation?
Well, yes, similarly to what Karl mentioned, was facilitating introduction to knowledge transfer network and doing that through Nominate and the Innovate Fund, helping and partnering with the Environment Agency as a result of that connection in producing paperless waste transfer notes. So, fact that people may not be aware, but there has to be a piece of paper for every single piece of waste that moves around the country, and that clearly isn't plan A for 21st century. So it was working in conjunction with the Environment Agency and a number of other large waste management companies in how to produce a paperless solution, and that ultimately resulted in what's known as EDOC. So there is it's still baby steps, and we're a decade away from it all being genuinely paperless. But the idea of the knowledge and data being centrally housed and shared, and the ability to query it like any database structure, so that the Environment Agency needs to know, because of course there's the first problem. There is no such thing as one Environment Agency for the United Kingdom. There's England, there's Wales, there's Scotland, and there's Northern Ireland, and they're not allowed to speak to each other. So my role and involvement in that was putting them in touch with the Cabinet Office through our Crown Commercial Services contract, and because I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. As a result of that, now we can say this is ridiculous. The legislation exists for you to speak to each other. So I've faked this conference call to get you all in the same place at the same time, so that we can help get EDOC over the line. And that all came on the back of a university partnership that we have with both Lancaster and UCLan. So it was a thing that nobody could have expected at the start of that relationship, that then blossomed, and we're very proud to have been a very small part in helping to get EDOC over the line.
That sounds like a fantastic impact, not just for your organisation, but the whole sector, and obviously the eco-green agenda. It's almost ironic, isn't it, having a piece of paper following some waste around? Crazy stuff. So just for my university colleagues as well, just a quick question in terms of what does success look like from a university perspective in terms of these relationships? What do we get out of it? What is our success in some of these schemes? We've talked about the tangible business impacts, but what are the success stories and impacts for us as universities? Who wants to answer that one first?
Oh, I'll have a go answering that one first. I think from an academic point of view, the university measures success in terms of impact and impact within the larger community. We also have our own metrics for measurements. We have the Research Excellence Framework, and we also have the Knowledge Excellence Framework as well coming along. So the university has its own metrics, which it gears and measures its own success. But I think from a university's perspective, as a general rule for success would be the development of long-term partnership working with local businesses. And I think that if we can develop that with businesses, then that's a success. So rather than just having one project and that's it and never seeing them again, it's about the company seeing the benefit of working for the university, working across the university. So you may say, as Chris was saying, you may start off working with the engineering department, but then you find you're actually now working with the computing department or the business department or even the psychology department. So I think a success is long-term working with the university, but across the whole university.
Okay, thanks, Karl. Marcello, I think you were trying to come in at the same time as Karl, so I'll bring you in now.
So impact is absolutely crucial, and also something quite important is visibility. So we also want to make sure we generate good publicity for the university and the business. So by different media channels, invited talks, etc. So impact and tangible results. So those are the main parameters for showing success.
Okay, thank you. Nilla, anything to add there in terms of what success looks like for us as a university?
Oh, I think both Karl and Marcello have summarised that really well. But yeah, it is long-term relationships, and you know, that the business keep engaging with us and referring us to, you know, peer networks in their supply chain. And you know, Karl measured some of, you know, the ways that we are assessed, but another one that you know very well, John, is obviously the Higher Education Business and Communities Interaction Survey, where we are measured on very specific metrics, such as volumes of collaborative research with industry, consultancy, how we use intellectual property and commercialise that, and social interactions. And I think that then comes back into our status as a civic university and what that means, and that we don't have those kind of commercial agendas we were talking about earlier, and that we strive to work with businesses and other stakeholders to share our knowledge and do good for all, really, to create economic and social benefits.
Okay, thank you. So another question that's come in via the Q&A. I'm just going to open up to the whole panel. So we'll fastest fingers first. So what was the most positive surprise in these partnerships? What did you get out of it you really didn't expect? Everyone's being too polite.
I don't know if I've got a. It's not that I didn't expect. So we did a physics. One of the physics projects that we did. I've hired off the back of that, hired an engineer who's now working in the room beside me, actually, and also that's led on to us supporting a master's, and we're exploring the KTP. So, but I don't know if it's a surprise, but I didn't foresee it being so successful, if you see what I mean.
So what one thing led to another, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Anyone else want to kind of contribute anything there, or we'll move on to closing?
I'd just like to add something. I think one of the things that can be a surprise from a university's perspective, working with companies, is that it allows you to get into the network of that company. So you end up then working in different networks that you wouldn't necessarily have access to. So we've worked with a company in Manchester and ended up working with a company in Italy because that was part of their supply chain. So I think that's always a surprise in that you're taken into that business network that normally it would be more difficult for you to find or even know about.
Okay, thank you. But because of time, I'm going to move us on to some closing observations or comments. So I'll do this in the order that we introduced ourselves. So I'll start with Chris. Any kind of closing comments or observations about the discussion today, and any takeaways?
Well, it's really interesting hearing the university's point of view as well. I mean, obviously, I speak to Lancaster University a lot, different areas of UCLan, but it's just interesting hearing the kind of common themes that I think kind of bounce back at me from the universities, but also across some of my other peers in this panel session on and similar experiences.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Nilla?
Well, I'm actually going to echo what Chris said. You know, it's been very interesting to hear it from the business's point of view. Obviously, you know, I know Forsberg quite well. I've worked with Chris for a while, but it's interesting to hear, you know, some of what he said as well about what Coral and Alex have offered. And, you know, and I for myself, and I know a lot of other people that work at the university, you know, we're very passionate about what we do, and we, you know, kind of love helping businesses to achieve new opportunities and new goals, but also, you know, working with our academic colleagues and at the cutting edge of science and technology, and being able to help them bring that out into the real world and create real tangible impact.
Thank you, Nilla. Alex?
I'd just say that it's been excited to hear what other partnerships have been established and how the university, I think, and universities, sorry, have benefited in ways that you might not ordinarily imagine. I'm just thinking, yeah, the additional opportunities to offer graduate placements and practical experience for students. So which obviously becomes a very rewarding experience for the business to have new blood, fresh ideas, and injected into the system of the business and the approach adopted. So that's been exciting and interesting to hear from everyone today. Thank you, Alex. Karl?
I'd just like to say really that from this session, it shows the synergy between business and academia and how they work really well together. And I think that's a message to get out from within universities and also from businesses as well. I mean, it's important, especially in these uncertain times, that the universities are a good resource to help businesses to develop their innovation and their research. And also from a university's point of view, as Alex was saying, they're a really good teaching tool for the next generation of engineers, the next generation of business and entrepreneurs as well. And so I think that synergy is really, really important.
Thanks, Karl. Cole?
Yeah, like I'd echo, it's been a really interesting conversation. And I think the actual diversity of the three businesses that are up here just demonstrates the breadth that universities can help an organisation. Doesn't matter which sector, which department, the size or age of the business and where you work, there is someone that can help you within a local higher education establishment, I'm sure.
Thank you. Marcel?
I don't have much else to add, but it's been very interesting. And so it's clear that a successful collaboration between universities and businesses are very important for businesses as well as universities.
Okay, thank you. So some concluding comments from myself. I would echo, I've enjoyed this conversation. I've learned a lot. It's been really interesting to hear about your businesses, your innovation challenges and how the universities have been able to support. A few things that have popped up a few times. One around, Karl just mentioned it, the breadth of support that universities can actually offer. The different faculties, departments, hide the wire and it doesn't matter, but the different challenges you've got in your business, whether it's leadership management, whether it's product service, maybe it's technological and digitization agenda, universities can help across all of those areas. And one thing that really struck me, which rings true with my experience, was that safe space, that trust. That actually the universities, we're not competing, we're there to support, we're there to help local regeneration activity, to help people create new businesses, grow businesses, create jobs, and create those experiences for our students and then our graduates to move into and hopefully stay within Lancashire and stay within the local economy and add value back to that local economy. So there is a real role for universities, which I believe we are fulfilling as anchor institutions in Lancashire. And so long may it continue. So thank you all very, very much. I've been asked to ask the audience to share your thoughts on the Lancashire innovation activities at the link that is in the chat. So thank you all very much. And I shall hand you back over to Dan, I believe.
Thank you very much, John. Just quickly on the attendees, we do have a raised hand. So I wonder if that's a question. Do you mind quickly if I just, quick question from the audience there?
Yeah, if we've got time, Dan, yeah, of course.
Second, yeah. Chris Holroyd. So Chris, I'm just going to allow you to ask your question if you...
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It was just a comment, really, that having talked so much about collaboration with universities, we've actually got an ideal opportunity to begin that journey with the Environment Centre at the moment. So we're recruiting for student projects with geography and environmental science students. The projects start next Easter, but we're looking for project ideas now, and we're looking for project ideas that students can get stuck into and really help your business. If you're interested, my email is c.p.holroyd, HOLROYD, @lancaster.ac.uk. and I will send you some information. Thank you very much.
Chris.
Okay, guys. So thanks, John and the panel. Thank you for an incredible, really incredible insight this afternoon, and particularly interesting to hear from the businesses just how much they've benefited from the engagement with the universities and some of the great innovation that's come from some really nicely evolved relationships there. So thank you all for your time. Thank you very much indeed. Just quickly following what John said, there is a link in the chat. If anybody could give us feedback on the Lancashire innovation strategy and innovation activities taking place, please feel free to fill in the form in the chat box there. We'd really appreciate it all. We're finishing week 1 now today, and next week we have some really interesting chats on social innovation and an innovation tour of the Engineering Innovation Centre at UCLan. And then we'll be taking a small break on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and handing over to Digital Lancashire, who are running their Reboot 2020. So we're really looking forward to engaging with some of the great digital activity that's taking place across the county. Please visit lancashireinnovationfestival.co.uk for the full roster of sessions that is coming up. Finally, once again, thanks, John, and thanks to all the panel. And we look forward to seeing you all in the future. Thank you for now. Goodbye.